Mic check, 1, 2. Good evening, it's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, the Yonkers Waterfront. Good evening, Yonkers. This is Freddie Vasquez. Happy Sunday, September 18th, 2022. It's the week wrap-up. Let's talk about the waterfront, the Yonkers River Fest. Good evening, Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Did you guys go to Riverfest? Anyone? This was the first year that I actually was at Riverfest with a table, and I had a booth for my business. And I think, and maybe I could be wrong, but it seemed like there were a lot more people. There were a lot of vendors, and there was a lot of good food too. A lot of good food. And I want to just really quick say thank you to Yonkers DPW. Shout out to all the guys that were there working. Shout out to the Yonkers police officers, all the officers who were working there, making sure that, we had a fun, safe, and great time. And shout out to the Yonkers Fire Department. And then also shout out to the people over at the Yonkers Waterfront bid, all the people that had the Riverfest shirts on that were helping direct things and get people into their places, because there was a lot of traffic and it was a little crazy. And so we were lost, but we eventually found where we needed to be. And in my, struggle to get to our location, I ran into Janai Wallace. Janai Wallace is the, I guess, executive director of the Wallace Foundation. She does a lot of stuff over on the southeast side, District 4, big supporter of John Rubo. And so she told me she didn't like me. Like, that's what she told me. And, I asked her if she could move. Her car was blocking a truck that was blocking the rest of the cars, preventing anyone from moving. We were at a dead standstill. And so it was her car that needed to move. You ever play the puzzle games where you got to move around the numbers and get them all in the order, right? And so it was her car that needed to be moved so we could move the rest of the numbers. And she just looked at me with an attitude. And I said, can you please, move your vehicle? I don't like you. That's what she yelled at me. I said, okay, you don't have to like me, but can you please move your vehicle? So, and the guy in the truck was honking his horn at her. And he was actually even cursing, saying all crazy things. I'm glad she didn't hear what he was saying. But it was very rude, That's supposed to be a fun event. And here we go. Anyway, she could be old enough to be my mom, should have been showing more maturity there. But, as I was down there, I noticed all the luxury developments. I was looking around, seeing how much has changed down there. And I started to think about a lot of things. But before I get into that, I want to talk about earlier today. I went over to the Glen Park. As I was driving by, I like to take drives through Yonkers on Sunday during the mornings. And as I was driving through, I saw a Little League game going on. So I decided to pull over. And I noticed that it was the PACOY organization. And now, the kids were playing, and I watched for a little bit. It was very nostalgic, reminded me of my days back in Luddale when I played up in Fayfield. And so, I was listening to some of the, people talking there. And, one of the things they were saying was just the condition that the park was in, and the kids deserve better, and the park has improved slightly, but it's still just kind of raggedy. And I think that park being the park that's directly behind the Parks Department building, they're right there on Nepperhan, that should be like the flagship park. That should be the best looking park in the city of Yonkers. All of them should look good, but that one should be the best looking one because it's right behind the Parks Department. And so I wanted to put it out there because I did see Steve Sansone, the head of the Parks Department, on Saturday at Riverfest. He came up, he said hello. And so I want to say, hey, Steve, I always say nice things about you. And I'm going to continue to say nice things about you. You're a nice guy. But do you think that maybe something could be done about the Glen Park? for the PACOY organization. That would be great. I mean, put the lines on the field, put fresh lines, base lines, nice mound, nice seating, and some decent parking, and make it to where the parents and families could come and watch their kids play and make it a family event, right? But it's really kind of raggedy and dusty. So, they were trying, and so the parents, some of the people there were just like, we wish we could get more. And it'd be nice. I was talking to one of the coaches, if they can get like an indoor facility where they can actually practice year round, right? That'll keep the kids off the streets all year round, because they say that we get them for, a certain amount, in the summertime, maybe 2 months, but the rest of the time we don't have them and they're out, in the street with nothing positive to do. But we can bring them in and do inside practices with, like, the pitching machine, the batting cage and stuff. And that'd be great for all the kids, because it's very important. And, one of the things that I saw at the school that I went to out of state was that they had these things, right? So the kids had access to it. And that's why a lot of them went to Division I schools on scholarships for sports, right? Many of the kids, 75% of the kids in the schools, and I'm going to always repeat that number, are living at or below the poverty line. They need scholarships. So robust, to use the words of John Rubel, a robust sports program would be amazing, with the resources and equipment that they can really, utilize to really, reach their full potential, and maybe get some scholarships for the kids, sports scholarships, that'd be dope. But, that's just one of the many things that I talk about, the education and the focus that they put on it. They're not putting the same focus as they are with these luxury developments. And I'm always doing my research and reading up on this luxury developments boom that we're having here in the city of Yonkers. Although we should have an affordable housing boom, but this is what we got. But it's happening all across the country. It's not just in Yonkers. Luxury developments are going up all over cities across the country. And many of the developers are using subsidies that are meant for low income and affordable housing development. So they're getting federal money to build luxury apartments. They're also getting tax incentives, and they're supposed to be receiving those only if they are creating growth, economic growth within the city that they are getting them from, like Yonkers, right? So why are we seeing a real estate boom, right? Developers are using subsidies that are coming down now from the federal government, so now they're taking advantage. One of the things they would say is that developers didn't want to come to Yonkers. They didn't want to come to Yonkers, and now we got them. So we have to keep the affordable housing ordinance at 10%, right? Otherwise, they're not going to want to build here. And we have to give them these tax incentives, these tax breaks, even though they're not hiring local, because they're not going to want to build here otherwise, right? The kids, are you kidding? They don't get no ZD. Unfortunately, the kids come last in Yonkers. Shit schools, shit parks and playgrounds, and shit everywhere. And that's what I'm trying to continually try to, preach, I guess. I don't want to be preachy, but that's the point. A lot of our youth here in the city of Yonkers, they're pretty much forgotten, but not all, because one of the comments that were made to me by people that were there was that people in the other side of town get their fields done up. I know they did Coin Park very recently, and also a $500,000 grant was given to fix up these parks where they play, the Little League organizations play at. But most of the money went to parks in Crestwood section, which is, I believe, on the northeast side. And I believe the Glen Park only got about $13,000 out of that $500,000. So, they care about some kids, just not all kids, right? And the luxury developments that are going up are not geared toward the people that live here, the families and the students that go to the schools here in the city, because these are luxury rentals. The average person in the city of Yonkers makes $35,000 a year, but they're receiving these subsidies, and they're supposed to be to develop affordable housing. And a lot of these developers are getting money from overseas. So they're also being given these special, visas to develop or whatever. It's called, they're calling it creative financial gerrymandering, where like New York State created a map linking low-income public housing projects to wealthy developers in order to offer foreign investors a discounted visa option designated for those who invest in projects in distressed areas. Like the Yonkers Southwest Side was a distressed area and is continuing to be, in a distress until they build these luxury developments. And I think that that was done almost purposely. Let the place go down so bad that we can justify these developments and you won't get too much pushback because people will be begging for change. But they weren't begging to be pushed out, right? And that's the problem. And they're not, and these developers are getting these tax incentives as well. And this is, again, not just in Yonkers. This is also happening in other cities, like in Chicago, where a bold enough, community group, actually a couple of them, sued the city and the city council for a violation of civil rights acts because of the tax incentives that they were given to developers that were supposed to be to develop, distressed area, low income areas to create growth or economic growth. And instead, they were building luxury developments for wealthy people. Right. And so they sued the city council because the city council were the ones who were approving this stuff. And that's what's happening here. The city council are approving everything for the developers. Or they're killing things for the developers, like the affordable housing ordinance. But they're approving these projects. And how do they do that? By approving appointments to the zoning board of appeals, like they recently did with Wilson Kimball, who, by the way, came to Yonkers after Battery Park Authority scandal and was head of the Yonkers downtown waterfront bid, which is in charge of Riverfest. And then she went on to Macy. Now her best friend is in charge of the waterfront bid here, right? So she passed it off to Fred. And her husband, James Kavanaugh, is president of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, the agency that gives the developers the tax breaks. So you see how our city has been captured by developers so they can go ahead and approve all this, development, change zoning laws to put up projects that otherwise would not be able to go in certain areas, like the 25-story one up behind ShopRite, right? So I just wanted to point that out, that it's happening across the country. These luxury developers are using subsidies and tax incentives. It's not just in Yonkers. And community groups are actually fighting back. In Chicago, they're suing the city and the city council because of it. In LA, developers and city officials have been arrested in real estate scandals, bribery, in Texas as well, and in Cincinnati. So will we see something like that happen here in the city of Yonkers? I mean, at some point, someone's got to get, suspicious of everything that's happening here, how these city properties have been sold under market value to developers who are then given tax breaks, pilots, as well as sales tax breaks and other breaks. And then they're hiring from out of state, Connecticut, Jersey. Got these cement trucks, 20 of them lined up along McLean over there, where they're building a new school, all with Jersey plates. I thought we were supposed to be caring about the environment. What happened to all this green stuff? I was in Yorktown today and heard the new Rochelle mayor in some hot water. It's getting closer. It is, because it's happening in other places. And they're using these tax breaks and these subsidies illegally. They're not hiring anyone from Yonkers, yet they're receiving all these pilots. The land is gone. Where are they going to build more affordable housing, which is what they need? Where are they going to build more schools, which is what we need? I hear the school, and I don't know if this is true, and I'm trying to find out, on McLean, the one that they're building is actually going to have apartments on top of it. It's going to be the school at the bottom and the 12-story apartments above it. I don't know how true that is. I heard something like that. Someone told me and they said they're sure about it. And I said, what kind of school is that? And I hear that they do that in New York City. So I don't know how true that is, but that's something so I'm trying to actually verify that. But so I just want to put that out there, how not only these developers coming in here building luxury developments, pushing small business owners out, forcing residents to have to move out of Yonkers. They're using these tax incentives and subsidies from the government to do this. Subsidies meant to build affordable and low income housing, to improve distressed areas, not to kick people out of distressed areas, develop them with luxury rentals and make millions and millions of dollars while people are left homeless. Right? So that's unfortunate. A lot of people are talking now, they're leaving. I'm leaving Yonkers. I'm leaving Yonkers, you know. And it's funny too that the you know, one of the things that they said here was that developers didn't want to come here. They wouldn't come here unless they get these tax incentives and these, you know, subsidies, and they keep that affordable housing low. They're saying the same thing in Chicago and in other cities. That's the same argument they're making. That's why they have to get. So if they're not going to come develop, you know, if they're going to only develop luxury rentals, then what's the point? Doesn't matter if they come here, right? They're going to push people out. Anyway, folks, I just want to come on real quick. Not that long. I don't know if there's anything else going on. I got to see what's going on in Yorktown, or not Yorktown, but the New show with the mayor. Do you have any more details on that? By the way, shout out to James Nolan, county legislator. I saw him at Riverfest. I saw the city council president, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy with her squad. They all had the white shirts on with their names on the back. What was that about? I didn't read the front. Just saw the names on the back. You know, she was rolling deep. I saw Corazon with her son. Who else I saw? I didn't see the mayor, though. Kiss or someone on the stage announced that he would be showing up in 5 minutes, and I didn't see him the whole day. But there was a Kiss cover band, which, you know, they did pretty good. I guess they rocked all night. You know, people like that. And who else did I see? I saw Anthony Moranti as well. I didn't see Breen. I didn't see Shanae. Who else did I see? So Carmen Gomez Goldberg. Shout out to you. I saw her. She waved and said hello to me. And saw a few police officers that I know and stuff. And so shout out again to the Yonkers Police Department for keeping it safe. But it was a fun time. A lot of good food. Like I said, a lot of pretty cool little tables and stuff. They even had a shark. Right, it's like a mechanical bull, but it was a mechanical shark. They had the whole Hispanic section over by Bella Havana. You know, they had a bunch of dancers there. I thought that was pretty cool. And so, yeah, you know, they even had a cigar thing there too for people interested in cigars. They were rolling up cigars right there, and you know, you could buy cigars. I thought it was a pretty cool thing. Shout out to all the parents that came to our table. Man, we got swamped. You know, we had crowns there where the kids could sit down and then decorate them and stuff. So, you know, you see a lot of princesses and princes walking around there. They got a crowns from us. We gave them free. So they went quick like hotcakes. And we got a lot of parents interested. So, you know, we appreciate, you know, the support from the people who came to our table. We appreciate the support from those who have been supporting us from the city. Shout out to you guys. And I support you guys back. But anyway, back to politics. Ron Manton hasn't made an official announcement, but he will be running for District 5. I've said that back when he was running for city council president. I said, Ron is really running for District 5. And so that's, you know, I don't know. He hasn't made an official announcement, but I know Moranti's also going to be running for mayor. I believe, you know, he hasn't made an official announcement, but he's definitely going to probably be running for the GOP ticket, of course. And that's it. That's all I know, you know, and they're still talking about that rally, right? The Yonkers Times is still talking about how a no-show means that people want to see another term. They want to see term limits eliminated. But I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's necessarily true. I see a lot of people in opposition of it. Maybe they didn't come out to City Hall. I mean, it was a bootleg rally. It wasn't promoted properly. It wasn't, you know, there wasn't anyone that was leading it. There wasn't a face to it. A lot of people said I didn't even know about it, but you can see the comments on Inside Yonkers and even comments on Basement Politics where there are people saying they're opposed to it. And so they're trying to sell this idea. And I believe that they're trying to sell that idea in the Yonkers Times and in the Tribune and in the Newswire and even the Yonkers Voice so that the council will go ahead and vote on it. And like, oh, well, that's what the people wanted, right? Without even asking the people or coming to the people and saying, hey, what do you guys want? We see some opposition. We see a rally, even though it was bogus, right? What do you guys want? Who's running again for mayor? Well, what they're looking to do is eliminate terms, right? So they did that once. They extended term limits. So the mayor ran for a third term and he won, along with the other council members, I believe Mike Breen and Corazon Pineda. So now they're term out. They can't run no more unless they eliminate the terms. And then if they do that, they can just continue to get, run for reelection. And so, some people are saying that, or the papers, the Yonkers Newswire, the Voice, they were saying that, because no one showed up to that bogus rally, which was fake, it wasn't really a real, that was bogus. It wasn't really promoted. That means that the people want terms eliminated. But I'm not against it because I'm against anyone. It's not about being against someone specifically. I'm against it because I believe that we need term limits in politics. There's a reason why term limits were created and why they exist. And it's not okay to just go around changing these things, because some people, maybe want to run, more for more, another term or whatever. I just think that we need to keep that in place, whether you did a great job or not. The end of the term limits here. That's it. Term limits. Thank you for doing such a great job. Now we got to move on. It's the responsibility of each party to find a viable candidate, a good candidate that will, be, that the people will accept, that the people will want to vote. But it doesn't seem like the Yonkers Democratic Committee is committed to looking for someone else. For the most part, they're just looking within their circle. People already they have. They talked about Corazon, John Rubo, Mike Spano again, if they eliminate terms, right? And then the GOP doesn't really do a good job of finding candidates that can truly, run a real campaign against the Democrats where they'll win. And sometimes they don't even put anyone in the race, right? So it's like our politics here, our elections is kind of not, they're not the best here. We got to step it up though. Yonkers wants to remove MTA bus depot down the hill by the river. Yeah, and they're going to be building I believe that's going to be part of like Xtel. They're going to be building 7 luxury buildings over there by the bus depot. 7 luxury buildings. A lot of people. Spank ain't going anywhere. All the Mexicans will vote for him. He's the reason why they own the whole new Main Street. He treats them well. Well, that Spano, sorry. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's a good part on Mayor Spano to keep a good relationship, specifically with the Mexican community that's has grown very large and has been very successful here in Yonkers. You see Main Street, they, have established a lot of businesses there. So, there's a very strong Mexican American presence here in the city. And so he wants that support, right? But see, here's the problem with the Hispanics. We're divided, right? And they say that, and I believe that this is true. They keep us purposely divided, right? You have the Mexicans, you have Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, El Salvadorians, Guatemalan, and so on and so forth, right? And so we each kind of like never really come together. See, we together make up the 43% of the population. Now, individually, we don't. So it's important that we come together because we will be a strong voter base that will make even more of an impact if we can organize and come to a common ground and say we want to do this for all the city of Yonkers, especially for our Hispanic community, which 75% of the, or I should say, at least 67% of the student body is Latino, is Hispanic. So we should have a huge interest in seeing our schools, renovated, right? Or new schools built or improved. The quality of the education needs to improve. And so we have to utilize that big voter base, 43%, to put the pressure on the elected officials. But we don't, because we stay divided, and they know that, and they keep us divided, right? And look at even the Puerto Rican Day Parade or the Hispanic Day Parade, right? They made it Puerto Rican Hispanic Day Parade, right? So it confused people, and some people felt left out. It was a lot of Puerto Rican flags. So, that kind of causes a little tension, right? So that keeps us from coming together, and we have to stop that. That's what they do. That's divide and conquer. So if we can manage to all come together as one Hispanic community, we will be a force to be reckoned with. But we have to get the sellouts out because they help the division within the community. They help create that division, right? So that's what I keep, wanting to tell my Latinos and my Hispanics here, right? And so we have to understand, like, there's a few that succeed, right? They get everything. They get their families in jobs, or their family or their kids got organizations. They get funded. They get the grant money. They get the full support, right? And so they try to then pull the Latinos in their way because they want to keep getting something. But what about the rest of the Latinos? Because a big majority of Latinos are impoverished, living at or below the poverty line. Tasha Diaz killed the affordable housing order, and something that a lot of Latinos, Hispanics need. So what are they really giving us? And so we can't allow those who are benefiting, the small Hispanics that are the few Hispanic elites that are benefiting, dictate how the majority of us vote, especially if we're not getting anything, right? The schools, the parks, community, what are we getting? They're getting jobs. They're getting rich. What are the rest of the Hispanics getting? They're starting businesses, and then they get contracts, and then they get, support. They get their businesses advertised. But what are the rest of the Hispanics getting? You see what I'm saying? So we have to be on that. Yes, the Hispanic voters have the voter block. Yeah, we have a huge voter block. I mean, 43%, and they know that. And so that's why they pander to certain groups, but they also on the low keep us divided. And we need to come together. Who are the Hispanic leaders of, in the community here? Who are they? Are they really truly leading us in the right direction? And are they leading all of us as a whole? Because we are all a community. I hate the division of a Hispanic, Black, white, because at the end of the day, if you got a child in the Yonkers public school, it doesn't matter what color you are, you have an interest, right, in this cause to see that the schools improve. If you are someone who needs affordable housing, it doesn't matter what color you are, you have an interest in this cause and seeing that we get more affordable housing. If you have a small business, right, quality of life, crime, doesn't matter what color you are. That affects all of us. So we should all be on the same page and put the pressure on the elected officials. Say, hey, we're not voting for you guys until you improve the damn schools, right? We don't care about luxury developments because majority of us can't afford them anyway, right? So we don't care about that. We care about our schools. We care about crime being reduced, right? We care about our city being cleaned up and not allowing people to just congregate, allowing the homeless to just congregate in Getty Square in front of people's businesses. That's not okay. And then people go on that side of town, and what they do, some ignorant people anyway, will label everyone in that community as the people they see, they're high on drugs, doing nothing with their lives. And that's not okay to me, and I don't like that. That bothers me. I know that's not who I am, but it bothers me that that's some people's view. And then some people see that our people, I see my people in that situation. It bothers me. And I see some people that I've grew up with that I know for years that now they're adults, and it's just sad. It's sad to me. So sad. We care about listening to the wrongfully convicted. Yeah, absolutely. Well, who's been wrongfully convicted? We definitely need to speak about that, right? And anyone who's been wrongfully convicted who wants to speak about their wrongful conviction, I'm more than welcome to come on the show. Reach out to me on politicswithfred@gmail.com. And we definitely will talk about it because that is another issue that I've actually experienced. I was arrested for trespassing years ago for coming out of my father's building, right? They didn't believe that my father lived in it, so they just took me in. And then, they dropped the charges, but they still had me overnight in jail. I never had been arrested before, nothing, and that was my last and only time. But it was a wrongful arrest, it was, messed up. I had to deal with that, So, and I'm sure that happens to, more people more often than we like to think. And, I'm sure there's people sitting in jail right now that were wrongfully convicted. But again, I'll be willing to bring anyone on or have them on the show and talk about it. Just reach out to me at politicswithfred@gmail.com, and I'll definitely listen to what you guys say, and we can go on live. But anyway, folks, so yeah, that's just what I want to talk about. Really, it's really changing down here in the city, and I don't mind the change. It's just, how is that change coming about, right? And we have to be mindful of people. And I see some real nasty negative comments, and all of a sudden I'm getting comments from people all over the country now, and even in other countries, right? And some of them, just kind of rude and negative and stupid, right? Like people are like, oh, what do you care about illegal apartments? Because people die in them. And I've seen that happen a lot of times, right? People die in these apartments. And then it affects other homes because when you have illegal apartments, you have a higher probability of a fire occurring because people are wiring things up, having extension cords to get power and all that stuff. So that increases the chance of a fire, which can affect a neighbor, right? And then now a fireman goes in there and also gets hurt or killed, God forbid. And that's happened. And so for anyone to say, oh, what do you, and then all about the vape shop that sold a minor, whatever it was, some substance that was sold to them as THC, and they have a medical emergency. I mean, it's ignorant to say, oh, why do you all that? They're just making, someone said, they're just trying to make a living by almost killing people. I mean, I don't think that's a way to make a living. You know what I'm saying? To sell kids, minors, something that puts them in the hospital. And so if it was your kid, you know, you wouldn't be saying that. And so you have to stop thinking about it, about the vape shop, and think about what happened and why that situation happened to that vape shop where they got that they got shut down. Bing that email. It's I'll write it here. politicswithfred@gmail.com. If anyone has a story, if they want to get at me, reach me, want me to look into something, you know, I will definitely try. I have a lot going on right now, especially with the daycare, but I definitely love to talk about it. You know, any issues, any concerns that you have here, especially when it comes to safety and the kids. You know, I'm real big on that. And so again, to my guy Steve from the Parks Department, the big dog, the head of the Parks Department, Steve Sansone. Am I saying your last? I call it Sassone. Steve Sassone, right? Yo, the Glen Park behind your office, spruce it up a bit. You know what I mean? Make it look nice for next summer for the PACOY organization. That should be the flagship park. It's right behind the Parks Department. You know, that should be the one you show off. So next year, hopefully, right, Steve, is going to look amazing. We'll talk about it when I see you. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. It's been 31 minutes. Thank you for joining me. Again, reach out to me, Politics with Fred. If you have any topics that you would like to discuss, any comments, concerns, questions, pictures of people in compromising position. No pictures of you young people, please. No videos, no pictures of anyone. People send me something and then they try to blame me for it. I don't want it. So definitely not. But if it's a elected official, send it to me. You might get some money for that. Housing is needed. That's why people are living in. You're right. Absolutely. I agree with you. Absolutely 1000%. And I understand also another reason why it happens is because landlords, property owners are looking for other ways to supplement their income as well. Right. So, you know, you have the landlords that actually live in one of the apartments in the homes and then they rent it out. And then they might create a third apartment in the basement illegally to supplement that income and bring in more money because prices of gas or oil or whatever, electric bills going up, you know, cost of maintaining the home gets expensive. Insurance may go up, but it creates a problem, right? It creates a dangerous situation for the people living in there. In Mount Vernon, a couple years back, 4 people of one family died. They were trapped in an illegal apartment. About 2 years ago, actually maybe that's like 4 years ago, about 2 years ago, it happened in Yonkers, a woman in the basement off Elm Street. And those are just the ones that come off the top of my head, but it happens a lot. And I see it, excuse me, and I see it happen often. So it's very dangerous. So what we need to do is put pressure on the city council. Instead of building all these luxury apartments that the majority of people can't afford, and now you're creating a situation where people are willing to rent a dangerous apartment, live in a dangerous living situation because of it. That's their job. That's what Tasha Diaz's job was. She was supposed to help the super majority, the four black women of color on the city council, Democrats, super Democratic majority, should have gotten the housing ordinance passed. There is no excuse why it was not passed. That would have increased the amount of housing, of affordable housing units that the developers would have to put in those apartments. And any other apartment going up, right? Developments going up. So at least that would increase the stock by, you know, would have doubled it. But they didn't. They didn't do that. And instead of building more, they sold off all the land mostly to developers who are building luxury developments. So where are they going to build more affordable housing? They renovated some, but that's not building new ones. They're building a new one on Main Street. It's only 76 units, and they're only giving them 24 parking spaces. But they're building 900 luxury units on Buena Vista, right? And they're getting 900 parking unit spots. right? They get treated better. So it's up to the city government to assure that there's enough housing, and so that these situations don't occur, or at least work with the landlords to see if they can convert their basements or wherever to legal apartments, because it's possible you can convert it legally, but it's so damn expensive and it's a pain in the ass with the building department. So that's another reason why people don't do it. You know, they have to file for these expensive permits. Then they have to wait. Then they hit you with this. Then they hit you with that. Next thing you know, you went to this $20,000, $30,000 or more, and you still ain't got the new C of O with your new legal apartment now, right? So that's another problem. So we have to put this on the elected officials. That's their job. That's what they need to do. Yeah, some basement apartments don't have windows, right? And that's a problem because you need the necessary, a proper amount of, proper means of egress is what they call it. You have to have at least two means of egress from a basement apartment, right? To be the front and then a back door, and then you have to have windows, right? And you have to have them a certain height, and the ceiling has to be a certain height, right? So if you have a basement where the ceiling is not 8 feet tall, then you can't do it. You can't unless you're going to lift the house up, because it legally has to be 8 feet tall, right? For it to be converted to a legal apartment. So there's a lot of reasons why people can't do it, so they convert it to legal. I mean, I have a client whose home caught on fire because they rent out a house. They live in Queens. They rented out this house to one guy. One guy ended up converting that home into a 4-apartment house. They took the attic, converted it to 2 separate rooms that they rented. One side of the attic, that's 2 different individuals there. The first floor had a 2-bedroom apartment, right? And then they converted the basement into a 1-bedroom apartment. Caused a fire. There were wires and extension cords coming out of everywhere. Guess what? The insurance company for almost this entire year fought me on paying. They just told us they're going to go ahead and pay they're going to honor the insurance policy, but they put us through the ringer because they thought it was, they were saying the owner knew about it, because that's illegal. It's called SRO, single room occupancy. And there was a bunch of people living in there. So it's not okay. Unfortunately, their house wasn't close to other houses, so that prevented another house from catching on fire, which I've seen that happen too. When one house catches on fire, 3 more go up, like on Maple, at the top of Maple up there. You see how many homes went up, like 4 of those buildings? And how many people are now left homeless because of that? If no one dies, thank God, but people also lose all their stuff and they out of a home. And many times, these are people that cannot easily repurchase this stuff. And then they cannot also easily just find another apartment. So now they're left on the street because the place was rented illegally. They had wires everywhere. Now there's a big fire, So it's just, there's something has to be done. I don't know if it's allowing illegal apartments. I think that they should go into these homes, see where they can make them legal, and then work with the people by reducing the cost and making it a seamless process at the building department to do so. That's one way, but they have to at least make sure that they're legal, right? And then also bring in more affordable housing. This has been going on for years. Oh yeah, it's been going on forever. I've seen it. I've been in property insurance business for 10 years now, so I've seen. That's what I mean. I see it firsthand. I deal with fires. All my clients, for the most part, say 90% of them have had fires to their homes. I deal with other types of damages, storm damage and stuff like that, but primarily I deal with fires. And so I see this a lot. I've been to fires and I see them pulling out the bodies. It's sad. The families there is very sad. It's very sad. Density circulation within zoning parameters, it's integral. Yeah, whatever that means. I'm just kidding. Minimum required light and air to be habitable and safe. Yeah, that's another thing. You have the utilities a lot of times in these basements, right? You have the boilers. You have, the hot water heaters, and you have a gas boiler, right? Or you have a gas system, a gas heating system, that gas and stuff down there. It's not ventilated well. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's not good. And even though the people may not realize it and they may not have died, thank God, but there's some health issues that they may not be suffering as a result of being stuffed in some illegal basement apartment for several years, that they just didn't realize it was because of that. But now they have health issues. But anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate all the new followers. Shout out to all you new followers, even if you say something negative. But most of you guys are positive. Thank you. Shout out to you guys. with the vape shop, it's not about the vape shop that I hating on vape shops. Some people said that. It's that they sold something to a minor and hurt a minor. Come on, you know. And anyway, and so yeah, that's my thing. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching, and email me with the the wrongfully arrested folks, wrongfully accused, wrongfully arrested. I definitely want to talk about that. I think that's an important issue. A lot of people have probably dealt with that. I have, just like with the CPS stuff, I've dealt with that, and so I understand that people go through it and they're innocent. I believe you. I definitely believe you. So anyway, folks, show the old followers love. Shout out to the original followers. Shout out to you, Will, you top follower. I appreciate you, Will. You're one of the biggest supporters. Thank you so much, Will, for all the good things you've said over this year, or almost over a year now, actually, that I've been doing this basement politics. But it's definitely grown crazy recently in the past 30 days. I mean, in the last 24 hours, I had 1,300 new followers. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, folks, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't make a dollar either. To those who think that I'm doing this for $1, I don't make a dollar. I don't make 1 penny doing this. I don't always get it right. I'm not perfect, but I think that I'm trying to help the community and those in the community, those who don't have a voice, who don't have maybe the resources to reach certain people. That's what I do this for. I don't make a penny. I don't have ads. I don't get paid. So I do this out of my own time. So thank you, folks, for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Yes, we need housing. Let Tasha Diaz know you failed the people. You took away housing, and you live in housing. Unbelievable. Oy vey. I'm out of here. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you, folks, for watching. Thank you to all those who support. Shout out to all those who worked at the Yonkers Riverfest. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the parents that came to the Little Prodigies table. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to YPD, Yonkers Police Department, Yonkers Fire Department, Yonkers DPW guys. They showed me some love that day. Shout out to you guys, man. I appreciate it. I think I'm doing it for you guys too. It's not about the guys who work there every day, get up and bust their butt, to earn that money that they make. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Yonkers DPW. What are you guys, the strongest? What do you call it? Shout out to you guys. Parking is rough. The double parking. I'm tired of the double parking, folks. And all you city people that moved into Yonkers. Central Avenue is 40 miles an hour, not 25. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. Have a beautiful and blessed evening. Have a blessed week. Shoot. Monday already. Monday already. Where did the weekend go?
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie